Welcome to the Scientific Method lecture. This lecture is an extremely abridged description of the scientific method. So, science is defined as systematic knowledge of the physical or material world gained through observation and experimentation. And there are several major steps. Depending on who you ask, there may be one additional or one removed. So we have our observation. I observe that the leaves are turning orange in the fall. My question is, why are they turning orange in the fall? So I hypothesize they're turning orange in the fall because there's some sort of pigment in the leaves that's changing. I then conduct an experiment to test this. I collect data, I analyze my data, and then I can come to some sort of conclusion about my hypothesis. Does my data support my hypothesis or not?
We have found the witch, may we burn her? Who do you know she is a witch? She looks like one. Bring her forward.
I'm not a witch, I'm not a witch.
What makes you think she is a witch? Oh, she turned me into a newt. A newt. Got better. Tell me, what do you do with witches? And what do you burn apart from witches? Four witches! Wood! So, why do witches burn? Because they're made of wood? Good! So, how do we tell whether she is made of wood? Does a wood sink in water? No, it floats. It floats. What also floats in water? Bread, apples, very small rocks, cider, a great gravy, cherries, mud, churches, lead, a duck. Exactly. So, logically, if she weighs the same as a duck, she's made of wood, and therefore a witch! A witch! We shall use my larger scales. Right, remove the support. Away! Back off.
So that was a fun video, sort of covering the steps of the scientific method. And in that video, they use some deductive reasoning, but primarily inductive reasoning. So when we're forming a hypothesis, we can use deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, or abductive reasoning. So deductive reasoning is what we prefer in the sciences. And basically you take a broad question and you narrow it based on a theory. So for example, all men are mortal. Harold is a man. Therefore, Harold is mortal. So this is one example of deductive reasoning that is logical and correct. But you can also be logical but incorrect. So for example, all bald men are grandfathers. Harold is bald, therefore Harold is a grandfather. When we use inductive reasoning, we go from narrow to broad, and it's based on observations. So we take these observations and then we sort of make assumptions using inductive reasoning. So Harold is a grandfather. Harold is bald. Therefore, all grandfathers are bald. So this can sort of help you form a hypothesis, but it's not the ideal situation. And then abductive reasoning is based on a set of observations you've made, and it leads to the most likely conclusion. So if you guys know what KISS means, keep it simple, stupid, that's essentially what abductive reasoning is. And then in terms of supporting or rejecting our hypothesis, one way that we can do that is through what's called falsification, especially if the hypothesis has been formed using inductive reasoning. And this dates back to Karl Popper, who came up with this example of a black swan. So if we say that all the swans we've ever seen are white, right? This is inductive reasoning. Therefore, all swans are white. But we can falsify this hypothesis by finding just a single black swan. That's all we need. And that's essentially the gist of the scientific method.